pause, set ourselves up in tabletop position with our hands under our shoulders and our knees under our hips, and just start to bring a little bit of movement, some backwards and forwards movement here, bringing the weight onto the wrists and then bringing the weight off of the wrists. So just warm those wrists up. As you said, Sue, it's a bit chilly. Sometimes things can hurt a little bit in the morning. And you'll feel as you come back as well that we're starting to stretch a little bit in the shoulders. We can do a little wiggle here as well. And then inhaling, coming forwards, bringing the weight onto the wrists. Exhaling and bringing those hips back. And this is a good time to just do a little check-in. Are there any bits that need to be treated tenderly today? The knees, the ankles. So you can tap your toes if you want to here. I tend to if I'm dealing with cramp, or you can push down into the tops of your feet. And again, that stretches through the front of your feet. And it isn't just the feet, it's the fronts of the legs that get a stretch as well. Nice. Okay, let's come back to that tabletop position and wiggle our hips from side to side. Just bring a bit of movement into that lower back and into the hips. And then ultimately that'll be the sacroiliac joint, the bit where the hips and the lower back meet. It's a movable joint. It doesn't move very much, but it is a movable joint. And then coming back to stillness again, and we're going to do some cat-cow. So starting off with a cat, tucking your chin and exhaling, rounding through your back, making a big dome shape. And then inhaling, and we do the opposite, so going from concave to convex. The belly comes down to the floor, head comes up. Exhaling into cat stretch again, rounding through your back. Letting that head go. And inhaling, lifting your head. And lowering your belly. Let's do 2 more. So 2 more cats, 2 more cows in your own time. And try and make the movement match the breath. So take a long inhale and move slowly. And a long exhale. Again, moving slowly and rounding. That's one more. Inhaling, nice. And then exhaling. Good. And walk your hands back towards your knees. And we're going to go into a 90-90 lunge. So bring your right foot forwards. And 90-90, 2 90-degree angles here. And give yourself a bit of space between the legs. Just dealing with the wall here. Bit of space. We don't want to be on a tight rope because then we'll just be a bit wobbly. I'll do this at 45 degrees for you. So your feet need to be underneath your knees. And again, we're just going to go forwards and backwards here. And as you come forwards, that knee may go a little bit further forwards. But we don't want it to go, we don't want it to be at an extreme angle here. So give yourself lots of space. Good. And then come forwards as far as you can, again with that foot untucked at the back, pushing into the top of the foot if you can. And now we're stretching the hip flexor. We're going to go in the opposite direction, push into the foot, the toes can come up. Now we're stretching the hamstring. And we can also add a forward fold, but I want you to be lifting up out of your back before you fold forwards. Try not to round through the back too much. And then coming up again, foot comes down, knee goes over the foot, and the inhale brings us up. Good. Exhaling and coming back again. So stretching down the backs of your legs and then coming up and stretching in the front, the hip flexor. Let's do one more of each. Exhaling into that forward fold with the hamstring stretch. And inhaling into that hip flexor stretch. Oh, that's nice. Let's swap legs. Simple, simple. 90-90. Give yourself a bit of space so you're stable. And remember here, we're also pulling up through that pelvic floor to give us that stability. If you need to hold on to something, you can. Inhale here as you exhale. Come as far forward as you can. Give yourself a nice stretch down the hip flexor. Inhale, and then as you exhale, push into the foot. And remember lifting up out of that lower back before we fold forwards, and the hands can find the floor here. Oh, hamstring stretch, lower back stretch. Inhaling and coming up. And then just bringing those hips forwards. Exhaling, coming back again. Move slowly, listen to your body. We'll just do one more of each there. So plant that foot down. The knee goes above the foot. And exhaling, pushing through the foot, straightening the leg, fingertips down to the floor. Oh, that's nice. Okay, coming up, and we're going to go to all fours, but come slightly to the back of your mat, so we've got space to widen that cat and cow. So long gap between the fingers and the knees, and bring those hips forwards. This is now almost a cobra, and then exhale and come back, and this is our puppy pose. Forehead comes all the way down to the ground, and just settle in here. Bring your elbows down, feel that stretch in your shoulders, your upper back. Relax your jaw as well, and the forehead is resting on the floor. Big inhale here, big exhale. This one's similar to child's pose. It's so good for just bringing your parasympathetic nervous system into play, which is that relaxation part of your nervous system. Plant your hands down, so push down into the floor. Inhale and come up. Squeeze your glutes and bring your hips forwards. And then look up. Lovely back bend. One more time back into puppy pose. Slowly again making that movement and that breath match, and trying to extend the breath as much as possible. And then inhaling and coming forwards. And this time we're going to bring those hips down to the floor and bring the elbows under the shoulders. We're in our Sphinx pose, which is a back bend, a supported back bend. And you can open your feet a little wider and push into the tops of them. So really ground down through those hips, squeeze your glutes. Elbows are aligned under your shoulders and look out to the horizon. So pulling your shoulders away from your ears. We don't want to be hunched up here. You'll feel an opening out here, a nice stretching through the rib cage, the sides of the body. And that soft bit between the ribs and the hips is getting a nice stretch as well, where all the abs are. And of course, that lower back is getting a bend, a nice supported one. Inhale here, and then as you exhale, bring hands down where your elbows were. We're going to come up to all fours. Inhaling here. Tuck your toes under and exhale into a down dog. Push those heels down. Dive your head between your elbows, making that inverted V shape here. And let's bring a little bit of movement to this. Pushing one heel and the other one down. Maybe experimenting a bit with foot placement, going a little bit further back or a little bit closer, but maybe a little bit wider. Maybe you want to wiggle in your hips here as well. And use this as a little assessment. Again, we're constantly assessing how are things feeling. How's that niggly knee from earlier feeling now? How are those shoulders feeling? Inhaling, exhaling, and then one more inhale. One more exhale. And on the next inhale, come forwards and gently lower your knees. Tuck those toes under and come back again into either child's pose or puppy pose. So with puppy pose, the hips are up, and with child's pose, the hips are all the way down, depending on your mobility here. Inhale and come up again, so planting those hands, and then exhale back to a down dog. Might feel a bit nicer this time. You might be able to go a little wider, or just back to what you normally do here. And this time, have a little focus on your neck. So let your head go. Don't try and actually do anything with your head. Just take the weight off of it and shake it slightly. We've got the luxury of gravity here, and you can just give those neck muscles a bit of a break. I know they don't tend to do much while we're asleep, but sometimes they can get a bit stiff from being in one position. And don't worry if it's noisy. All those bones are close to our ears. Okay. Inhale, come forwards again to your knees and set up in a tabletop position. We're going to do a bird dog. This is a strengthening exercise. We're not going to do a huge amount of them. I'm just going to show you what they are. So the regressed bird dog, if you want to just give this a go, is one leg, I don't mind which leg you use, just out to reach for the wall behind you. And your whole body is straight. So the core is switched on. The shoulders are over the wrists, and you'll feel the back of the leg working here. If you want to add, you take the opposite arm and reach away. And this is called a bird dog. This is a really good exercise to keep your back strong. Bring the hand down, bring the leg down. We're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So starting with the leg, other side, lift it, straighten that leg out behind you, and the foot is at glute height. You'll feel that glute working, and you're reaching away, you're not reaching up. And again, that core is switched on, shoulder aligned overhand, and you're reaching forwards. Got a bit of a space issue here, so I think some people call this Superman as well. Okay, bring that hand down, bring the knee down, tuck those toes under, come on up to a down dog again, and from here we're going to come into a forward fold. So push back into that down dog and then fill that gap or close that gap between the feet and the hands however you want to, by stepping, jumping, or just taking a little walk and ending in that forward fold. Now have your feet a little bit wider than your hips to support you here. Gentle bend in your knees. And again, let's think about that neck. Look between those knees, let that head go, and then let the shoulders go. Breathing here. On the next inhale, you're going to come up. So you're going to start with your feet, push through the feet. Feel the energy in your legs. Roll up through your spine, stacking one vertebrae on top of the other. Still inhaling here. Shoulders come up and they roll back and down. And then you can turn to face me. Let's go nice and wide with those legs and just move those hips from side to side so you can adjust your camera angles if you need to here. So just moving those hips from side to side. Good. And then heel toe those feet in, all the way in, all the way in. And squeeze the feet and squeeze the knees together. We're going to sink down into chair pose. Just going to show you the side angle view of this. So chair pose, again, a little bit of strengthening for those glutes, pushing down into those feet. And the body is nice and straight. You're kind of looking for a Z shape here, quite a loose Z shape. And we can add the arms as well. Nice. Inhaling, and then as you exhale, stand up and roll those shoulders up, back and down. And let's just go for mountain pose here. Feet hip width apart. Roll those shoulders up, back and down. Oh, so noisy. Again, very noisy part of the body. And then roll them forwards. And with the forward rolling, sometimes it feels better if you put your hands onto the fronts of the shoulders. It just gives you less to deal with here. You've just got that upper arm. And then let's go in the other direction, but make it a little bit wider. So imagining we're doing a backstroke here. We're reaching those hands, grabbing some water, and then coming forwards. Oh, yes. Nice. One more time, and we're going to stop with our arms out wide. Nice. And just rotate through your wrists, so holding those arms up. And then rotate through the wrists in the other direction. I'm going to turn around so you can see that you can stay facing forwards. I'm going to reach backwards, so send those arms backwards. And then bring them forwards, rounding slightly. Inhaling. Reaching again. Out. Similar thing to the cat-cow here, but the different dynamics on the body. Because we're standing up. This time a little more rounding, as if you're hugging a ball. Maybe you don't quite get to hug it this time. And inhaling and coming out a little back bend here. So squeeze those glutes. Round through your back. Again, this time we're really going to hug that ball. Maybe even tuck your hips in there and tuck your head down. And then inhaling and coming out. And then bring your hands down behind you. Clasp them behind you. So squeeze those glutes because we're going to do a little back bend. Inhale, lift your chest, and exhale, pull those palms together down behind you. That's it. So those shoulders open out. They almost vanish if you look from the front. And we're in a little back bend. Good. Unclasp your hands. Inhale into extended mountain. So those hands up and look between them. Bring the palms together. Look at the thumbs. Exhale and bring those hands down to heart center. And then we end up with our chin tucked. Inhale again and look up. Catch the air, right. And look at the thumbs. Exhaling, pushing those hands together again. Here, think about your wrists. See how far down you can go and keep the heels of the hands together and really push those hands together, looking down at them. And then inhale and come up again. Palms together, exhaling. And really ground down through your feet on that exhale. We're going to stay here this time. So I want you to spread those fingers. There's lots of space between them. Push the whole of the hand together. lift up through your chest, and then relax your shoulders down. So again, you'll feel this in those shoulder blades. Inhaling here, exhaling. And then bring your hands so that they're face down and bring them back up again. If you sit at a computer a lot, your wrists will probably be very grateful for all these gentle movements. I broke my left wrist when I was 14, and it's coming back to haunt me at the moment, which is why we're doing all of this today. So if you have any old injuries or anything in particular that you want to work on, just let me know and I can always incorporate it in what we do. Inhale and bring your hands up. We're going to bring our hands behind us again. So here we have options. Option one, take a hold of your elbows. Now it might be that you're here and that's okay. Take a hold of your elbows. And then inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, come into a fold. So gentle bend in the knees. And let the head go. Really let all the air out of your body. Get to the point where your head is hanging. I know the ponytail goes when my head is hanging. And then inhale and come up. Now you're having to use your core to push yourself away from the floor. Keep those knees slightly bent. Head comes up last. Big inhale here. Nice. Exhale back to mountain pose. Option two, if you want it, you can always just go with option one. This is about the wrists again. You're going to bring your fingertips together behind you. You're going to close your hands and then you push your hands together behind you. So this is not about, oh, I have to work on that level of flexibility. It's just an option for those who are more flexible. Good. And again, you're going to inhale and lift your chest and exhale, come into a fold. Complete emptying of the lungs and inhaling. Coming up, all the way up, good. And then exhaling and coming back to that mountain pose. And just shake those arms out. So in particular, that lower arm will do what the lower arm does well, which is that pronate and supinate, backwards and forwards, good. And then rotate through the wrists one way and the other. How did all that time go? Right, we need to do a bit of balance, very important for our day. Let's just do our side to side starts. So start with the left leg, taking the weight, gentle bend in it, right foot comes up. Hands can either be on your hips or you can have your arms out wide. If your arms are out wide, reach away from you. And then bring that toe up. Now the floor's always there if you need it. And your shoulders and your hips are in line with each other. So as the angle changes, everything changes. And if you're really comfy here, challenge yourself. See if you can go a little higher. Nice. And land. Really place the whole of the foot down. Swap that weight over, taking a gentle bend in that standing leg and taking off in your own time. And this is going to use that glute medius on the side of the body as well. And again, keeping that alignment here with the shoulders and the hips. Ooh. And then land. Nice. Shake everything out. This time we're going to bring the legs forward. So those hip flexors that we were stretching, that we woke up, we're going to use those. So starting by standing again on the left leg. Shoulders up, back and down, hands either on the hips or you can reach out and lift the knee up to hip height and extend it out. See if I can see the sole of your foot. Show me the sole of your foot. That's it. Bend that knee and let it come down with control. Good. Shake it out. And then the other side. Ground down. Standing on the right leg. Left knee lifts. Extend that leg out. A little bit of core working here as well. Bring it down and take it down to the floor. Let's shake it out again. One more. We're going to go backwards this time. So warrior 3, just going to come forwards a bit to give myself a bit more space. So standing on that left leg again and taking a gentle bend in the knee, peeling that right leg out and sending it out behind you. So option 1 here, if you're feeling a bit wobbly, is just to find the floor with the toe first and then take off. Or if you want to, you can just send that leg out behind you. Once you're in this position, dive a bit deeper. Now, if you think about it, it's similar to that bird dog, and the bird dog trains us for this because you've got that glute doing all the work. Good. And then coming back with control if you can, stepping that leg back, just checking in with the other leg. It needs to be slightly bent. That's the position, swapping legs. So grounding down through that standing leg and that left leg going behind you. Check in with the floor if you need it, just so you know where it is. That's it. And on the exhale, you dive forwards. Reaching out. Yes. Well done. And then inhaling and coming up. Good. Oh yes, I know where my glutes are now. Let's go nice and wide with our legs. Bit of trouser management and coming down into a sumo squat. So let's give a little bit of love to those glutes. Give them a stretch. The width here between your legs is perfectly customizable depending on you. So heel toe those feet to wherever is good for you. And you bring your hips back, and we've got our forearms on our thighs here. And the body is straight, so you're looking out to the horizon. Inhale, and as you exhale, come into a forward fold. So straighten the legs this time, let the head go. Let the shoulders go. Forearms to thighs, inhale again. Coming into that squat, so the upper body lifts and the hips come down. Good. And then we're going to come up to standing. Bring the palms of your hands together. Come up to standing. Bring the hands up. Big inhale here. Exhale and open out like a flower into goddess pose. Strong in those legs. Strong in the shoulders. Come up again. Reach up high. Stretch yourself as high as you can. And exhale. Sink down again. See if you can just go a little deeper this time. Relax those shoulders. Inhale and come up again. And clasp your hands above your head. We're going to bring our feet in. Reaching up high as you inhale and then exhaling over to the right side bend here. Full body side bend. Inhaling up to center slowly and exhaling over to the other side. One more time on each side. So coming up and over. And up and over to the other side. Nice. And then come back to center and bring your hands down. Just come back to mountain pose and shake everything out. Now this shaking out is really good for the fascia. It's also, I don't know if you've seen dogs getting rid of tension. It's a really good way to get rid of tension in your body. So shake everything. If you want to shake your head side to side, you can. Shake those feet out. Nice. Let's go into our final pose, our wide-legged forward fold, with the option, if you want to take your hands behind you and clasp them. So building on everything we've done, I'll take a gentle bend in the knees. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, pull down into those shoulders. Inhale again, lifting your chest and exhaling, coming into a fold and letting those elbows Squeeze towards each other and bringing those hands up and over. Let your head go. And then inhale. Push away from the floor. Big inhale here. Lift up slowly. And the head comes up last. Bring your hands onto your hips. Step back to mountain pose. And let's come into extended mountain to say goodbye. So inhale, your hands up, palms together, and exhale them down to heart center. And namaste. Thank you. So lovely to have a big full screen today to see you all. So have a lovely Tuesday.